Welcome, nerds, to another edition of the Brief Nerdity podcast, live from San Francisco.
Woo!
That's right, you heard right, San Francisco.
And the Brief Nerdity
podcast.
Live.
The best one. We have a third person with us today.
Hey, this is awesome, Alan. Or I'll be going as Nick on this podcast, and I'm here. I'm having a good time.
Welcome, Nick.
About to talk about some Star Wars.
Yeah. Most of you know me as Ryan, a.k.a. Rad Ryan from the GamerRants days.
And Trent again. Hello, everyone.
So a Star Wars movie came out this last week, guys.
What?
No way.
I didn't hear anything about that.
For real. So obviously we're going to be talking a lot of Star Wars in this podcast. So this is your advanced spoiler warning for anything Catalyst and Rogue One related, because we're going to be diving into both of these. So, and if we have time for anything else, then we'll get to those other things. But Star Wars comes first. We all know that.
Yes.
All right. Well, so Trent, you finished Catalyst. What'd you think? Overall impressions?
I finished Catalyst while I was standing in line for popcorn to go into Rogue One.
Wow.
It was really
close.
good. Yeah, I was cutting it very close. So yeah, there's a lot of things from the book that I thought were almost better than how the movie portrayed them. Mainly Lyra, Galen's wife. I thought she was a fantastic character. I wish they'd used more of her in the movie. But I thought it was a really, really good character story. It was a really good universe building story, setting up how the Death Star was made, the transition between the Separatists and the Empire, and it was great. I liked it all.
One thing I really liked about the book is how it, like you said, it really gives a good history of the Death Star, of the fact, it's who it started with, and the plans went to this person, then it went to this person, then it was in fact actually started as a Republic weapon. It didn't start, after the Empire was formed. It started as a Republic kind of Cold Wars type thing, to where basically Palpatine was like, look, the Separatists are building their own super weapons, so we need to build a super weapon of our own, to counter their super weapon. And so I thought that was really cool, along with their plans to keep it secret from the Jedi, because obviously they wouldn't like that. And one of my most favorite things about the whole book was just the rivalry between Krennic and Tarkin.
Yes.
It was one of the best things, and I think I kind of agree with you that it wasn't quite portrayed as well in the movie as it was in the book, amongst other things. But yeah, I thought it was a great book and a great companion novel to the movie itself.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job of, like, Krennic and Tarkin were basically like playing this like Game of Thrones-esque chess match against each other this whole time.
Yeah,
pitting different pawns and pieces against each other. It's really fun to read.
and I like that Krennic was winning the battle most of the time up until close to the end.
Yes.
So one of the characters that was featured in the books was, if I'm understanding this right, the mother. Did you say that, Trent?
Yeah.
Jin's mother.
The mother at the beginning of the film?
Yes.
All right, they go into a little bit more of her, how her being important, because she gave that Force crystal to is her name Jin?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something else in the movie that I was surprised didn't pan out to something more based on the book, and then also just like the significance of the scene in the movie when she's like, here, have this crystal. I was like, I wonder if that's going to mean something later, and I was like, no, just not.
Didn't mean a thing.
But yeah, and actually knowing more about Lyra explains why Jin is the way she is, because her mother was very headstrong and adventurous. She was like kind of like a Nathan Drake-esque, like explorer, Tomb Raider,
Oh, cool.
adventure person. Yeah, she's a lot of the survey teams that found all the crystal deposits that they were using. So that was pretty cool.
All right, yeah, I think that would have been nice if they went into that a little bit more, because it seemed really important at the beginning, and I thought that maybe it would be brought up again with the Force crystal, but it seemed like it just. I mean, if you didn't read the book, then
yeah, and the novel actually goes into a lot of about the Kyber crystals in general, and like their history and their use, and why the Jedi were hoarding them. What's their power? and that the Death Star lasers are, using giant kyber crystals.
And it really goes into how good of a match she is for Galen, because Galen is just so focused on his work and I don't want to say like robotic in nature, but very not emotional. And it told the story in Krennic's perspective on how he was surprised that Lyra and Galen got together in the end, just because they're so different. But then he kind of goes off on how they're kind of a perfect match for each other. Like while he's doing all his research, she's the one collecting all his notes and transcribing everything to keep it all organized. And so I really liked how it went into that as well.
Cool.
Indeed. So we kind of alluded to it a few times. Let's talk about the movie.
Okay, well, Trent, let's start with you. Go ahead and give us your overall impressions, and we'll go into some of the nitty gritty.
Of course, you would start with me. I loved it. It was really fun. I thought it was exciting, funny, emotional, dark, kind of morally neutral. It was just, I don't know, it was really good.
Nice. I kind of felt the same way. I walked out really happy and really, really pleased with what I saw. It's not without its weaknesses, but I still loved it and was very happy. And some people that I was with were making fun of me because I would get very, very giddy during some moments, almost to where I was literally like jumping out of my seat. Or
Your sheep?
Yep. Except for Sasco. Or like excitedly like tapping my feet on the ground, something to that effect. So
I spent like at least a quarter of the movie with like kind of like my hands like balled up and like by my like face just like all like nervous and excited.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun.
Nice.
What'd you think, Nick?
Overall, I went into it with, I didn't have a lot of expectations for it. It was I really didn't know what to expect. I always feel like Star Wars has this like whatever factor, and like at any time it just does whatever it wants, and it's usually entertaining. Like the old new trilogy gets a lot of flack, but I for the most part I enjoyed them to some extent. And with Rogue One, I enjoyed it a lot more than Force Awakens. I got a lot more from the characters, though I still think that there could have been a little bit more work on them. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed some homages to the previous Star Wars, because we can't ever seem to let go of those movies. But overall, I liked it. I had a good time. I saw it at the IMAX showing, and really good screening. It was a cool local theater nearby. And overall, good impressions. I was in favor of it.
That's something I'm curious about. Did you both see it in the IMAX 3D?
I did, yes.
I did.
I saw it in just standard 2D because I'm not a huge fan of 3D. How did you guys think they did with the 3D?
Oh, it was fine. I mean, pretty average for 3D standards. I mean, they didn't film it in 3D, so it was all.
I was about to ask if they filmed it. It didn't seem like they filmed it in 3D, but.
Gotcha. So there was no like obvious like this is designed for 3D type scene.
No, not once. I mean, no.
Where's Trent? Was the I don't know if you noticed it, but there are times when the screen the backgrounds were really blurry. Was that common for the 2D showing, or?
I didn't notice any blurry stuff at all.
It's not something I noticed either, but I just might not have been paying attention to the background as much. Although I take that back. I was really enamored with the background because I was looking for any Easter egg I could possibly find.
But it's all blurred out. It's just a big. Most of the time, they want to keep central focus on the characters that are talking in a lot of the scenes, and I get that. But the backgrounds were just blurred out. I know it's kind of a stylistic kind of thing. And it might be the director's choice to do it, but for me, it was a little distracting. It didn't really make me dislike the movie, but it was something that I noticed. Like no other Star Wars movie was really filmed like that. It had a kind of a shaky camera like especially at the beginning, the camera was just shaky. But it was a different Star Wars experience. It wasn't as traditional as I was expecting.
Nice. So what would you say would be your favorite part of the film?
Me?
Yeah.
Moi?
I like a lot of the K2SO stuff. K2SO, is that just?
Yep.
Digits?
Damn it, stole
He was
mine.
definitely my favorite character.
I mean, he was the only one who really, I mean, he stood out. Like, blatantly, he just stood out. Everyone else was a little too serious sometimes. Jin was okay, but she just seemed kind of one-track minded. Her stance change. Like, are we allowed to say spoilers or?
Yep. Full spoilers. So
Okay, yeah. When her dad died, you know, she kind of got a different, a different drive to just destroy the Death Star, and you know that was. It's cool that she made that kind of leap, but I don't think they really focused enough on the characters for me to really invest the time that I needed to invest in them, because they were all just going to die at the end. So just some weak character development, but at the same time, I mean, they were just there to tell a simple story. It was just, hey, this is how we figured out how to blow up the Death Star. There you go. Here's some Darth Vader for you.
Well, speaking of that, I'll go into that because that was by far my favorite scene of the movie. Most people who know me as a big Star Wars fan know I'm a pretty big Darth Vader fanboy, so I was kind of waiting for that to happen the entire movie. And I was thankful that they managed to squeak in a few minutes of it there at the end. And boy, was it brutal and exactly the way I wanted it to happen. Like when he just pins that person to the ceiling with the Force and then proceeds to fight off a couple other people and then just casually like chops him in half as he walks by him. Just so good.
I was hoping for a little bit more.
I wanted more too.
That was probably one of my biggest complaints with the movie.
Because I got to the end of it and I'm like, oh, are they not gonna like? Was that weird lava planet temple thing gonna be his only scene?
Right.
Because it felt like it was wrapping up, and then I was like, well.
I kept expecting, like, I kept hearing his name in the background sometimes, like, Darth Vader is on his way. I thought he was going to go there and just, like, beat everybody up on the planet, but he didn't show up until the very end in that scene, and I felt like so much had already been done. Like, pretty much the climax had all happened. Everyone was dead, and I felt like the movie should have just ended. I mean, I see that you really like the scene, Ryan, and that's awesome. But that scene, I don't think it was necessary to have at the end. Like maybe have had that somewhere a little bit more before, all that had already happened.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. Don't get me wrong. As cool as that scene was, I felt it was a little bit out of place, or I guess more just part of a really, really rushed ending. It reminds me kind of episode 3. It's almost like the last 5 minutes of the movie, George Lucas was like, oh, we have to like connect this directly to A New Hope now. And so let's have Yoda give some throwaway line about, Qui-Gon reaching through the Force to teach people how to turn into Force ghosts. And then let's just like, where should we throw these 2 kids? Oh, I'll take one. Oh yeah, send one to his family on Tatooine. And
Okay.
And then, let's show a picture of Darth Vader and Tarkin and the Emperor on a Star Destroyer. It looks like a Star Destroyer, and looking out towards a partially built Death Star. I mean, like the last few minutes of Revenge of the Sith are very like, okay, let's throw all this at you really fast just to remind you that the next movie is A New Hope. And this one almost kind of did the same thing, to where the story kind of wraps up, and it's like, okay, well now we got to get to point A where we're at, with Jin and Cassian, embracing each other on the beach, to the Star Destroyer closing in on the Tantive 4. And so they kind of just threw all that in there. And while I agree, as much as I loved seeing what Vader did, I think he should have had a little bit more part into just in the final battle. Like I really like in A New Hope when, during the Battle of the Death Star, Battle of Yavin, and Vader just goes up, some fighters have broken off of the main group, come with me. He should have been there in the battle and, be like, oh, well, they're transmitting the plans right now. Come with me, and he engages actively like that or something to that effect. I felt that would have been a lot better off.
I thought it was not terrible. I like that it kind of showed up and blocked the escape of a lot of the ships, and kind of just cemented the like suicide mission feeling of the whole thing. I just wish it was longer. Like I wanted him to kill more people.
It's always great when Darth Vader kills more people.
That's right.
In like a span of 1 minute.
Yeah. Another note just kind of on that scene is that I know the logistics of it would have been hard to do, which is probably why they ended up not doing it. But I think that scene would have been a little bit more impactful if it had at least one of the main characters.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe Bodhi, the pilot. Maybe he's the only one to be able to get off or maybe physically deliver the plans rather than being transmitted. And then I could imagine someone like him being the one to like pass it through the crack in the door. Just to give that little bit more of a emotional gut punch, because the moment that scene begins and you see all these faceless rebel soldiers, you're just like, yep, you all dead.
Right.
Yeah. So I think my favorite part, I don't know, you guys took two of mine already, so I'm gonna have to dig a little bit, because Alan Tudyk as K2SO was just incredible. So I loved everything about him.
I am a leaf on the wind.
He always dies.
Yeah.
Every movie. I think that actually might have been, like his, and obviously, like we already said, full on spoilers, his death scene was the most emotional for me.
I agree.
Locking the vault door and like just taking on like dozens of stormtroopers before he goes down. And it's like the moment right before where he's just like, they're not here. He's just like awful at trying to blend in. So I think that was my favorite part.
Yeah, I definitely agree that his death was the most emotional for me, which says a lot of great things about him, but not a lot of other great things about the rest of the cast.
Yeah, I wanted to know more about the blind guy and his like commando friend. 'Cause, like, there's a story there.
Friend.
See, exactly. Like, were they together?
I thought that too. I was like,
just like, was there like a big brother, little brother, like you're blind, I'm gonna protect you thing? Because like when he reaches up at the end, I swear he's like going to like try to like touch his face, which seems to convey some intimacy. So maybe I'm reading into it, but I want to know why they were so loyal to each other.
Baze was pretty upset when Chirrut died.
I know.
So,
I think it's kind of a
it was a good moment.
Wasn't Baze was he like his apprentice, or was he just a partner of what was it, Imwe?
Chirrut?
Chirrut.
Yeah, Chirrut Imwe.
Like I said, they kept it vague, and I'm sure that was intentional, so people could make of it whatever they want to make of it.
Assumptions on.
Yeah. But I think the only in-movie explanation they give, is like, oh, he protects me, I protect him, or something to that effect. Isn't that what they said?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like we know that
I am the Force. The Force is with me.
Right. I'm one with the Force. We know that like Chirrut was someone who volunteered to like protect the Kybers and the Jedi Temple from abuse, which obviously didn't turn out well. But yeah, I'm curious. I don't know. Maybe they'll make like a book or something that tells their story a little bit more.
It's Star Wars. I'm sure they will. We have a prune face book coming. Not really. That was a joke.
So I think actually another one of my favorite scenes that really set the tone for the movie was right at the beginning when Cassian is getting that information from the dude in the alleyway.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? I can't climb out of here." And Cassian's like, "Don't worry, don't worry." And I'm like, "Oh, he's gonna help him escape somehow." And then he like shoots him in the back. I'm like, "Oh my god!" It's like, this is real.
That was a little harsh. I wasn't that said a different I had a different feel for that character the whole movie. What was his
Because of
name?
that scene.
Yeah.
Cassian.
Yeah. Got some Han Solo vibes from him, just his attitude and that scene in particular.
I thought it was great. Because a lot of people don't realize the realities of, what kind of stuff they would have to have done as, terrorists, basically. And I thought that was pretty cool.
I also really like that scene. It's a stark contrast to the special edition made to A New Hope, to where George Lucas wanted to make Han Solo a not as scoundrelly character and more of a hero, and so he added Greedo shoots first. And then this was in direct contradiction to that. To one of the main heroes of this journey just shot an informant in the back, in cold blood to keep the secret safe. Was it a good thing? No, but in the end, it filled in a gap there, or I guess closed a loop.
Well, the other dude, I don't know. I think it's just because the other dude just looked so. I just felt so sorry for him because he just looked pretty doughy and not that cool. So, and he just shot him in the back. Greedo was pointing a gun at Han, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, but it was kind of to show that Cassian needed to do what needed to be done and keep that secret safe and make sure the information was only heard by the people who needed to hear it.
I think Cassian should have been a little bit more of a friendly person. He seemed a little bit too out of touch. But still, I didn't hate the scene or anything. That just had my feelings for Cassian was kind of meh to me.
That's okay. And kind of on the other side of the coin, the contrast. I don't know if you all noticed this, but when the Hammerhead was pushing the Star Destroyers to collide with each other, which was awesome, by the way.
That was cool.
But they made a point to show the inside of the Star Destroyer and the people yelling and screaming and getting, the crap beat out of them as they flew everywhere in the Star Destroyer and stuff like that. And so I kind of felt that was a point of Gareth Edwards to make the Empire seem a little bit more sympathetic. That especially for people like Trent and I who've read books where you see more of the inside of the Empire, that a lot of those were cadets, kids barely out of quote unquote college, just kind of they're doing their duty and dying. And so I like the morally gray of both the Empire and the Alliance here, to show that the Alliance can get their hands dirty a little bit whenever they need to, but at the same time, the Empire, it's war, and even those who are serving the Empire, them getting murdered is never a good thing either.
Yeah, and I felt that especially also when it's the Alliance fighter attack that ends up killing Galen. And
yeah, definitely.
You feel like he's going to be killed by Krennic or Vader or someone, like keep the secret. But I feel like Krennic probably would have kept him alive, and especially knowing what I know about from the book, like their longtime friendship and the fact that he was basically like using him to rise through the ranks, just like his knowledge and discoveries, and to like have Jyn watch these fighters come in, like, kill her father. This group that she's, I don't know. I would feel torn about whether or not I wanted to help them going forward. So I thought that was really well done.
I agree. One thing I want to say just about the movie in general is the cinematography. I think it's by far the best cinematography of any Star Wars movie. There were several times where just a shot or of the environment or whatever was just, I just look at it and be like, dang, that's a good shot. Or just some of the imagery I thought was really, really well done. I forgot who said it, but someone said something along the lines of, something just dropped out of hyperspace and the next shot was the Death Star just like looming over the horizon.
That was a cool scene. I liked
cool
seeing the ships jump by hyperspace. That was really cool.
Well, in the first person one, there was a shot where you had the first person of one of the fighters and like jumping in and like seeing other ships arrive to the side, and then like the Star Destroyers like shooting towards you. It was really, really good.
Yeah, the eclipse of the Death Star on on Jeddah right before it fires. Yeah,
So
really good all around.
having played the Battlefront level of this, did you recognize the shuttle and the landing pad and everything there?
Yep.
I thought that was really cool. It's like I've been on that landing pad before.
Yep.
That was a small little moment.
Yeah, I really like the fact I got to play that DLC before the movie came out. Gave that scene in the movie just a little bit more, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
So I heard you. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just say I'm a little I wasn't really all about the environments. I loved when we were in the city and just I forget the name of all the planets, but I almost wish we stuck more to one location. I felt like the movie was jumping from location to location, and for a while it just seemed like there was nothing really to see. It just like it was raining. It's all dark and it's a big war-like environment. I was hoping a little bit more of just staying in one place. Things didn't really change for me visually big time until they got to that final planet when you see like the palm trees and the beach, and it felt like a good change of pace. But for the most part, the visuals looked really good.
So I definitely felt the same way with you at the beginning. Like I felt like every 5 minutes it would show an establishing shot of a new planet with a subtitle of what the planet was.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again for the first act of the movie. So
yeah, it was doing that a lot. And then they jumped to one planet and they didn't tell you which planet it was. And it drove me crazy because I want to know if that planet was Biss or not. And you know which planet I'm talking about.
It's Mustafar.
Was that Mustafar?
It was confirmed by Pablo Hidalgo that it was Mustafar.
Why didn't they say something? It looked so different too.
I think they wanted to keep Vader a secret because if they said Mustafar, in the same establishing shot, I think it would have made it obvious what was about to happen, even though it was very obvious what was about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, lava, Black Temple thing. Yeah. It's like, oh, he's going to go see Vader.
And I guess in the companion art book or picture book, I don't remember exactly what it's called. They say that the Emperor suggested to Vader that he build his castle there to help fuel his anger and hate.
See, I was going to comment on that too. It's like, wow, what a interesting choice of places to build your stronghold. It's like, hey, I was brutally dismembered and betrayed by everyone I love here on this planet.
Yep.
That's good.
So, yeah, again, it was kind of a weird choice to not say Mustafar, but...
So I think we're burying one of the big leads of the movie, and I want to get your guys' opinion on CG Tarkin.
I heard you groan about it.
Oh, why?
There's another one.
Did we? I didn't hate it.
You didn't.
I didn't not like it, but it made me think for a minute. It made me think. Well, you guys can go first if you want, but
I didn't hate it. I actually liked Tarkin more than I liked CG Leia because I thought hers was super obvious. I think a lot of it had to do with the lighting of the scene and the fact that she's like in this white dress and this bright white ship and like fully lit. Whereas Tarkin, they were able to kind of keep in the shadows. And if you weren't, I mean, obviously you were going to recognize that it was CG, but it was a little bit easier to forget when you weren't like super hyper focused on him. I don't know, because I think a recast, because literally like knowing the timeline of the movie, recasting someone who looked exactly like him would have felt weird. I don't know.
I thought looking at a CG character interacting with everyone was a little weird. That's my
better than Jar Jar.
Well, yeah.
Personally, I was okay with it. I mean, it's obviously CG, and again, the only way for them to get around it is to recast, which I think would even be more obtrusive, I would say. So in the end, I felt it was fine. I thought, given the time, and obviously, anyone can make a perfect CG character, I think, given unlimited time and resources, obviously. But I feel given the time and resources they had available to them, I feel that they did a dang good job. And I don't think it was believable. Like the first initial shock of seeing Tarkin was like, whoa, because you kind of expect based on the way they're filming that scene where it's showing him from behind, then it kind of shows his reflection in glass. You're like, oh, they're just kind of do that, and yeah, we know it's Tarkin, but they're not going to show anything. And then he just turns around and it's like, oh, well, there he is. So I think after that initial shock, I just believed it was him from then on through the rest of the movie. I mean, again, part of me always knew that it was a CG character because that actor is dead. And a little bit of uncanny valley, and I think a little bit of a lip syncing issue. But
Yeah.
other than that, I was happy that they did that because even worse than replacing them with another actor, I feel is the cop out of only showing them from behind or only focusing in on like on their chest down or in the reflection on a mirror. I felt that would have been extremely frustrating as a moviegoer to watch that, knowing that he's right there, but they're just not showing him. And so I'm glad they made the bold choice to do what they did personally.
Although I think that's exactly what they should have done with Leia at the end. I felt like it was unneeded, and they should have just shown like the guy walking up to her like from behind, and then it cut out.
See, I felt that would have been corny as hell, and I would have been frustrated. I mean, yeah, she could have looked even better, but
her like standing there like, hope that wasn't corny as hell.
The line could have been better, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but I felt she looked fine again.
I'll try to. I won't go too much into it, but Tarkin, that's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was necessary. If they were going to make him CG, and they did a really good job at it. There's some like lighting issues, as you guys said, because you just can't get lighting like 100% with CG characters, and especially when you have real life actors to compare it with, it just looks unnatural compared to everything else that you're seeing. And his eyes look creepy to me. The way they just moved way too fluidly. Like it just looked like a lot of Rogue One looked like a video game to me. And I don't think it was necessary to have him in there. If they want to just have CG actors, I feel like that they should just make Star Wars nothing but CG movies. If all they plan to do now is to just like 20 years from now, and for whatever reason Han Solo needs to make an appearance, are they just going to put a CG version of Harrison Ford for the rest of our lives? I don't know. I don't feel right with it. I'd rather them either just make a full-blown CG movie or just recast the character. It's not like you have to. I don't know what the mindset was to have a CG character. I mean, I know they did it in episode 3, and it was for a quick moment that you saw him. You just a glimpse and like, okay, that's him. He's CG. All right, movie's over. But for this one, he was almost a central supporting character, and just going back and forth to him, it's just distracting. I know what they're doing, and I can suspend disbelief that that's supposed to be a character in the movie, but in the end, it's just like I just don't think he was necessary.
Well, see, I think he was, because it would be weird for him not to be in this movie and then have him be a central part of A New Hope and be the commanding officer of the Death Star. If he wasn't around in this movie, it'd almost be like they'd have to cut out the Death Star scenes entirely if they didn't have him. But yeah.
It just goes into me wanting a lot more out of the already the central characters. Like for the time that time that we had like Tarkin on screen, I'd rather have had a little bit more out of the main villain, which what was his name? Was it
Krennic? And yeah, I definitely agree that he was underutilized, especially for the great setup that the book gave him. He kind of didn't seem to do much in the movie, I guess I would say.
Yeah, they really didn't do a good job of highlighting how nefarious and like, because in the book, like he's almost like a male version of like Cersei Lannister, and like the effectiveness and the maneuvering and the manipulating other people. And in the movie, he just like he throws a fit with Tarkin, throws a fit with Vader. he has a good opening scene with his attitude and everything, talking to Galen. It was like, farming, really? Like, I thought that was great, but
He did make Vader give the best dad joke I've ever heard in a Star Wars movie, though.
what was don't
choke on your ambition.
Yeah, that was bad.
It was so bad it's good though. Like I was like, wow, Vader's got the dad jokes. He doesn't even know he's a dad.
He's practicing.
Yep.
It was good.
But yeah, Krennic could have been a lot better utilized because it seemed like he just happened to be at the right place, the right time for like everything. It's like, oh,
Right.
I'm just going to happen to go to Eodu right now, and oh, look, the rebels are here. Okay, I'm going to just happen to go to Scarif. Oh, look, the rebels are here.
And he always has on his fancy little dinner Imperial cloak on, that all white. That was another thing I didn't like what he wore. It was too.
I thought the cloak was great. Because it gave so much of his like snooty personality.
I could see that, yeah.
An enhancement. But yeah, he did kind of come off a little bit as like a Scooby-Doo villain, like foiled again. But yeah.
I'm gonna switch gears here a little bit, but what the hell was up with the brain sucker thing?
That little Snuffleupagus looking thing.
Yes.
That added nothing to the film whatsoever.
It had no repercussions.
Freaking Forrest Whitaker with his little sleep apnea machine thing. What were they?
I need one of those. To that whole thing was weird. Because like people made a big deal about how he was a character in Clone Wars that we knew.
Oh.
But it didn't. It connected kind of weirdly to me. Like he was ambitious and driven in the freedom fighting on his planet in that arc, which I saw recently. But he was never like an extremist. I didn't think anyway.
Well, they kind of pointed to him as being one. Like I think he's labeled a terrorist at one point in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and like I think Obi-Wan calls them terrorists, and then Anakin's the one who corrects them and goes like, "They're rebels." You know,
right? Well, that's the whole thing. Is like the whole rebellion are terrorists, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, the whole like evil Snuffleupagus thing was definitely really weird, and like Bodhi seemed out of it for like 5 minutes, and then he was like back to normal again.
Yeah, I really expected the effects of it to show up again later, but they kind of never did, and.
Right.
All the information that that Saw could have gotten from him was in the freaking recording that Galen made that Bodhi had.
That was I saw that as a common theme in the movie was stuff happened and nothing like when the blind Jedi did his little number on all the Imperial soldiers. He never really did anything like that again. There was never any big time where he just whooped ass, and it just things happen, and then
he kind of did. Like he shot down like TIE fighters with his weird like giant crossbow gun sort of thing,
and then like walked through the enemy fire without getting touched.
Yeah, I think the movie fell through a little bit for me when they added on the extra rebels, and then it just felt like it turned into that movie with all the 80s all the 80s strong guys. What was it called? With
the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie
with Rambo and
the Expendables.
Yeah, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, this was Star Wars Expendables.
The Star Wars subplot
where everyone dies.
I got one even better for you. It's a better Suicide Squad movie than the Suicide Squad movie was.
Shots fired.
Well, right? I mean, it's a group of ragtag, people who literally go on a suicide mission. Spoiler. And and have fun personalities and their own quirkiness, but they're all lovable.
I'm just weird.
Except people in the Suicide Squad were not lovable. They were all terrible.
Yeah. So, touching on that.
Have you seen the Suicide Squad movie?
I haven't seen it yet. I still need to watch it.
Oh, God. So bad.
I steered away from that one.
It's bad.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a chance. I was let down by the Superman Batman, but
Well, you liked Ghostbusters, so I don't know.
by every DC movie.
it's okay to like Ghostbusters. It's 2016. Ugh.
I still need to see that one too. But back to Star Wars real quick. I thought it was really awesome that they killed everyone.
I agree. I was really worried that they were going to do the Disney or Star Wars just kind of cop out to where like, oh, well, maybe like 1 or 2 people died, but everyone gets out alive, but they just weren't there in A New Hope because they were somewhere else.
Yeah.
An adolescent Finn comes and saves them. Hey.
No.
So this is how it ties into Force Awakens. Okay.
Luke just shows up on Scarif and he's like, "Is this Tashi Station? I'm looking to pick up some power converters."
CG Luke.
Do you guys need to ride out of here? The shield just opened. I'm here in my T16.
Thanks, buddy.
No, what they should have had was the guy from Shadows of the Empire show up in his Outrunner.
Dash Rendar.
Dash Rendar. Have him show up and save everyone.
I was there the whole time.
Or even better, Kyle Katarn. Hey, is it?
Yes. Like, hey guys,
I was supposed to steal the Death Star plans. What happened? What?
let's go disappear for 20 years and then show up again randomly.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you, Trent. I'm happy that everybody died because it gave a lot of weight to the situation as a whole. And I don't know what you guys have, but I actually went and watched episode 4 again the night after I watched it, and it gave.
Oh, is that already out?
Yep, Rogue 2. It gave a lot more feeling of urgency for me with the plans, knowing the sacrifices that had been made to get it as far as it had. So like when Luke is sitting there like giving C-3PO a bath and like R2's there, and I'm like, do you realize what you have? Realize how many people died?
So do you feel that when Darth Vader fought Obi-Wan, do you think he was kind of just kind of going easy on him and like, okay, I'll pretend to Jedi battle with you for a bit?
And that's kind of what I mentioned in last week's podcast. I thought, I had a theory that Vader was going to get injured in Rogue One, and that's why he was a little bit slower, but that didn't end up happening. So now it just remains a continuity error. But I guess the in-canon explanation for that is that Obi-Wan's lightsaber style is more just defense, and so he kind of just defends Vader's attacks the whole time. But it's not a very good in the universe theory.
No,
it's just
he knew some good maneuvers.
There's some emotional arguments to be made about like the last time they fought and what happened and the relationship and everything that's been building up. But yeah, I mean, he should have at least been able to perform. There's no in canon explanation for it, unfortunately.
I was just about to say like deep down, it's like it really doesn't matter to me. It's just like for me, it's just choreography. They didn't have any idea that they were going to.
Yeah, they had no idea what they were doing.
Become dancing swordsmen.
Lucas even directed them to say that the lightsabers were supposed to be very heavy when the movie was originally filmed too. So,
well, some of the first things they had like power cords and stuff coming out of the bottom of them before they just fell to the actual, canon explanations.
One thing that I did like is that they added kind of as a continuity thing is that for years and years and years, people have always kind of made fun of Star Wars or just the storyline itself that, this giant small moon-sized battle station, has a very obvious weakness in the exhaust port, send a proton torpedo down, it blows the whole thing up. People kind of made fun of that fact, but so I like how that was kind of not really retconned, but we got new information that Galen basically planted that weakness on purpose. I really like that. It's kind of a fun continuity improvement, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I love how Jin at the end though almost like gave it away. I mean, when she did give it away, she's like, "There's a giant weakness, and this is what it is, and I've told everyone." And Orson's like, "Whatever, I'm gonna kill you and go fix it because I've got time." And I'm like, "Jin, you're an idiot. Like, what do you have no idea if he's gonna make it off this planet or not."
I did literally facepalm in the theater when that happened, but I thought it set up something kind of a beautiful moment, in that from me reading the book and knowing Tarkin and Krennic's rivalry, in that Tarkin pretty much right after that ordered for him to blow up the planet. So in Tarkin's quote unquote arrogance, and to eliminate the rebels as well as his enemy in blowing up Krennic, that stopped him from getting that information sooner. And it's a good reflection of his arrogance in A New Hope, when the commanding officer comes up and says, we've analyzed their attack pattern and there could be a weakness. Should we evacuate? And he's like, evacuate in our moment of triumph? I thought it was a good reflection of that arrogance. And if he would have,
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. What do you think, Nick?
No pod races. There should have been more pod races.
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
They should have reshot it for one more day and put in a little pod racing scene that KS72 it starts watching.
K2SO.
Yeah, so while we're still on the subject of things that we would have had differently, I was a little bit put off at the end when Vader sees the ship flying away, because I'm like, how does the captain and Leia 2 minutes later be like, we're a consular ship with an ambassador, blah blah blah, and Vader's like, I literally just saw you flee this battle.
Yep.
I don't know what you're trying to pull here, but I literally watched you fly away.
Slaughter 30 of your men. Yeah, I agree. So that's kind of the weird thing with how they ended Vader's scene.
Yeah. Maybe they have to follow them through a number of jumps, and so that they didn't know how much Vader saw or something. But I don't know. It was just funny to me.
I was hoping Vader was gonna just jump off the ship and just freaking force fly after them or something.
Go Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan.
It would have been awesome.
I mean,
then I would have been satisfied with my.
You could fix that scene with a simple thing. Have the exact same thing. The guy holding the plans, running through, passing it through the door, but then just at the end of that hallway, have a computer of some kind, and someone plugs it in and transmits it off, and then Vader starts choking him, and where did you send them?
Yeah, the whole time I was expecting Leia's ship to show up at the edge of the system and have the Mon Calamari ship transmit them the plans or something.
Yeah.
And then have that ship fly off real quick, because
that would have solved that problem immediately.
Yeah, because the line in episode 4 is, where are those plans you intercepted?
Yeah.
Or the plans from the transmission you intercepted, or something like that.
I think he uses the words, "We're beamed to this ship."
Yes, thank you. I mean, they were still, but yeah, it should have. I think it should have been done differently.
Yeah, definitely.
I would have enjoyed a scene where C-3PO would have been just wobbling down the hallway with the plans, and Vader's slowly following him. Oh my, I have to hurry.
3PO, is that you? I built you. Don't you remember?
Turn around.
Oh wait, you have a red arm. Sorry, I didn't recognize you.
Oh god. Let's not get into that.
So I heard you touch on it, Nick, and you said that you overall like Rogue One more than Force Awakens. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Trent, how do you feel about that? Do you feel the same way?
I don't know. I've gone
not trying to compare them, but I enjoyed Rogue One.
That's perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable.
Yeah. I keep going back and forth on it because I think that Rogue One was able to do a lot of things that Force Awakens wasn't. It made me afraid of the bad guys, made me worry about the heroes. A lot of things that Force Awakens never really did. But Force Awakens had a few more exciting twists. And I mean, it was just The Force Awakens is bigger in scope, and you know that they have things leading into another movie, whereas this one was more contained. I don't know. I said the other day that I liked Rogue One better, but now I've gone back and forth 4 times since then. They're next to each other on my list of best Star Wars movies.
It's funny how you and I kind of think the exact same way on that, because I remember you asked me on Facebook or it was on a post on your wall, and you said you liked Rogue One more, and I kind of just said I'm still processing at the moment.
Right.
But I think I have settled on to the fact that I liked Force Awakens more, and I'm more trying to lean on just my pure feelings I had when watching them. And neither of you know this, but literally on Saturday, my girlfriend's niece had a birthday party, and it was a Star Wars themed birthday party, and lots of kids and a lot of my girlfriend's family. But since it was a Star Wars themed party, they had Force Awakens just going on the living room TV. And after visiting, I kind of just found myself sitting on the couch and watching. And it was literally the last 20 minutes of the movie. It kind of started with Chewie and Han planting the bombs in the oscillator. And so I kind of watched the movie from that point on, and I just watching the scene of Han walking out, and him dying to Kylo's hand, and the emotional lightsaber battle, and like I got teary-eyed again, because my absolute favorite moment of Force Awakens was when Kylo reaches out his hands to grab Anakin's lightsaber from the snow after he knocks out Finn, and then the lightsaber flies right by him and into Rey's hand. That's by far my favorite moment of the movie. And part of it may be because I don't know why, because I've seen the movie a dozen times now, but the first time when I saw that moment in the theater, I don't know if I looked away from the screen for a second or what, but I didn't see the moment where like Rey opens her eye, and you see that moment. So for me personally, when she caught the lightsaber, it was a complete surprise, because last time I saw her, she was knocked out, And so me seeing the lightsaber go into her hand, and then it plays that brilliant John Williams soundtrack from A New Hope when Luke's looking at his dead aunt and uncle. It plays that soundtrack from Episode 4. Like I was bawling in the theater at that moment when I first saw it, and I felt a little bit of that again, just kind of more of a nostalgic feeling, even though the movie's only a year old. But when I saw that movie, I didn't tear up, but I felt that swell of emotion happen again when I rewatched that scene and the rest of the lightsaber battle, and then just her going up and seeing Luke and the movie ending. I was just like, yeah, Force Awakens. I felt so much more emotion in Force Awakens. And not to say that Rogue One was a bad movie. It definitely is not a bad movie. And Trent, I agree with you that they are right next to each other on the list, number 3 and 4. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Force Awakens overall.
Yeah, the thing that I love about Rogue One is that it enhances and perfectly complements A New Hope so well. And it makes me like you said, it adds so much weight to everything that happens in Episode 4. And I just got a funny story real quick, just kind of a sidetrack note. When Bail Organa and Mon Mothma are talking on Yavin, and he's like, I've got to go back to Alderaan and warn my people and tell them about the rebellion and the Death Star and blah 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 and all this other stuff. Someone in the theater behind me yelled out, "Don't go!" The whole theater.
No, we love you, Jimmy Smith.
It was so funny. But there was I think the two most emotional and exciting moments in the movie was the space battle over Scarif was really fun, and just watching like the X-wings dive in and out, and like the hammerhead push and the Mon Cal swiveling and like looking down, and like their glass dome ship, and like all of that just felt really great. And then the other really powerful moment for me was when Jin and Cassian are on the beach at the very end, and they see like the explosion coming towards them, and she says that line. She's like, "Do you think anyone was listening?" And I was just like, it really hit home to me. It's like, here they are at the end of this suicide mission. They have no idea if they succeeded or not.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really powerful moment of them just like kind of embracing each other and just hoping that it was all worth it. And it's just like really cemented that kind of like hopeless, like freedom fighters against this giant machine, thing. And like, so that it was a really powerful moment. Those two things for me were really good. But Yeah, I don't know. Compared to that moment where Rey catches the lightsaber, I don't know which one's better because
I'm
it's
just glad
so
they didn't
good.
kiss.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, when they had that moment in the elevator, I was like, "Don't you do it! Don't you dare!" But then they didn't, and I was happy.
Yeah.
Well, one thing is for sure, I think we could all agree on that Star Wars is in good hands.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, at Disney and Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm, and you know, it's obvious they're taking great care of the franchise, and we have nothing but great movies to look forward to for the foreseeable future.
I'm really excited.
Anything else you want to add, Nick?
I think they need to take more risks.
And I think they will, personally.
Stop this reshooting bullcrap and just make a movie and release it. I feel like there's a lot of fan feedback nowadays for a lot of movies, and what makes me like Rogue One a lot was that, you know, people died at the end. It wasn't all wrapped up. It had a bit of an Empire Strikes Back tone to it,
Right.
and I want more Star Wars movies that are a little less holding on to the original trilogy and just more their own thing. That's why I enjoy the stuff from the extended universe a lot more. Just that they're just more satisfying, like KOTOR, and just a lot of all the other games. I feel like that they have stories that are told without having to throw in a Luke or C-3PO cameo, and they should have enough faith that a Star Wars movie will sell if you just call it Star Wars. From what you guys say, Rebels and the Clone Wars cartoon sound amazing, and just given the time and effort for that, they come out with some really good stuff, and I want to see that more from the movies. I don't want to see just, you know, how much life can we get out of Mark Hamill to come and like walk on set and awkwardly move around, but we'll throw in some CG Mark Hamill every now. Like I feel like it holds back on a movie, and I would just like to see that more from the films. I like Force Awakens. I like Rogue One better. I'd like to see more films be like Rogue One.
And I get that. One thing I always kind of say in defense of Disney's and Lucasfilm right now is it's that I feel that they had to prove themselves to audiences and Star Wars fans that they can make Star Wars. And so a lot of people will interpret that as, you know, just rehashing, you know, old Star Wars, which is a fine criticism. But I feel that, you know, coming off the prequels, they had to show everybody that, hey, we could do Star Wars and we could do Star Wars well. You know, did they do a little bit of rehashing? Yes. Are they kind of focusing on the original trilogy? Yes. You know, with Rogue One and the upcoming Han Solo movie are probably going to be very, very strong evidences of that. But I feel once they, I don't want to say get it out of their system, but I'm going to say that anyways, I feel that they will have that opportunity to branch out and do more risky things with the Star Wars license. Exactly what you want. So I feel it's coming. It's just they just have to gain our trust so far, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I think Force Awakens had to act a lot as a bridge between the nostalgia of the original, kind of glossing over the perceived failures of the prequels, and launching towards a new target. I feel like Episode 8, much like Episode 5, is going to be their chance to really push the series forward again. And so I'm excited to see what happens. And I feel like, and knowing what I know about the director for 8, I think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. The only one I'm worried about so far is the Han Solo movie. Don't know how much I want that, but you know, I haven't seen a trailer yet or seen it yet. And once I see a trailer, I may go crazy and be in love with it. You know, that being said, I love Danny Glover, and I think he's going to be the best possible Lando we could we can get right now. At least a young Lando. Billy D. Williams obviously is always the best, but at the same time, the directors, the people who directed the Lego Movie, and the Jump Street movies. And so I have a lot of faith in them, directing a good movie.
Agreed.
All right. Well, anything else Star Wars? I think we're almost out of time, but we could probably touch on a couple other things before we close for the week.
I think that I really, even of all the stuff I've said, I still really love the Star Wars franchise as a whole. I think it has I love the fandom. I love that people are just so into it that
thanks.
They'll I don't want to make this sound wrong, but I mean, Star Wars will always be successful in my opinion, whether or not it has freaking Skywalker in it or not. I think it's always going to just be around, and it makes me think of what George Lucas said one day, and that Star Wars is the religion. And I can kind of see that. I can kind of see like Star Wars. There's just this goal. It's just I feel like it people believe in it so much just because people want to freaking be in space one day. I think we can achieve that kind of thing, but that's a whole other theory of mine. But
yeah, we do know that after Episode 9 they're not doing any more saga films, at least right now, right?
Well, are they? They haven't really said. They haven't said that they're not, and they haven't said that they are.
They said they're talking about not, and that's what's most likely on the table. They're probably not going to do Episode 10 like just 2 years after Episode 9. They'll probably put it on hold for 5-ish years or so, and then just do the spin-off films every year.
Wasn't there never supposed to be an Episode 7?
Yeah, well, depends on who you ask. In what decade?
But even in 2005, when Episode 3 came out, they're like, "Oh, it's the last Star Wars movie." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's just the last one for now."
I think as long as it's still marketable, I think Star Wars is always going to be around.
Yeah, but I think is what I'm trying to say is that they're not going to just like continue the Skywalker story or the epic trilogies that they've done with the 3 trilogies. I think just at that point they're going to just make standalone Star Wars movies, or at least have some be sequels to each other in some manner, but not do the epic Star Wars trilogy story.
Yeah, like I would love a 2 or 3 part anthology film series that has nothing to do with the main storyline, like
Definitely.
KOTOR, Darth Bane, Obi-Wan, any of those I think would be great.
If I could have my one wish, it would be a KOTOR Netflix series.
That would be amazing.
I think they're just going to remake Star Wars, to be honest.
I would die.
Remake A New Hope, you mean?
Yeah. I think they'll just start over when they're done. Like, we can still make money off this. Let's just retell the story.
It's something I thought about before before Disney made the purchase. I was like, I bet you at some point, I thought before Disney purchased Lucasfilm that the next movie would be a New Hope remake. But I don't think they will at this point, especially with how ingrained like Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher were in Force Awakens. At least not for the next 10 years or so.
Yeah, I think it's the story team at Lucasfilm, who I have had the honor of meeting. They seem very focused on establishing the new continuity now and not messing with the originals. So unless they're like doing a scene for scene retell of the original 3, it would just throw so many wrenches in their attempt to establish this new canon. So
Good point.
I think it would take a long time before they'd want to do that. And I think it would have to fall into a bit of disrepair, kind of like you'd saw with Star Trek before they start doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they have so much to explore right now, and so many untapped characters and periods. I mean, just thousands of years worth of stories that they can tell.
And that's probably my biggest problem with the current EU is that it's so restricted because there's so many stories they want to tell in the movies, or at least backstories of characters and other things that almost feels like we're starving for good details and good stories, and we've only got a small handful. Catalyst being one of them, and of course Lost Stars. Nick, if you read any new Star Wars book from the new canon, I would definitely pick out Lost Stars. Not only is it the best book in the new canon, it might be the best Star Wars book ever written.
Best book ever.
I highly recommend it.
Really good. Really, really good.
Lost Stars.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Star Wars. Da, 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 da.
You're gonna get us flagged for copyright. Stop it.
Well, just do that.
I know.
Right. Voices muted.
That's good. I'm happy with where it's going. I'm excited. I want to see more. I want more now. More.
All right. Well, let's switch gears from Star Wars. We'll just touch on a few things before we close out. Nick, you watching any good shows right now?
Jeez. I watch a little bit of TV, not a lot, but I've been trying to keep up with Supergirl. If you guys know me, I'm big into DC. Not as much anymore, but I used to be. And it's okay. It's not really doing a lot for me. I feel like all those DC shows are they're kind of just showing off as many characters as they can and just trying to. I feel like it's just a way to sell toys or market different things, but nothing's really happening. It seems like everything is about some time traveling nonsense or just some ridiculous aspect to the overall story. Stories aren't really being told. It's always just some bigger thing that leads into another bigger thing. And with Supergirl, like I wanted to really like it more than I am right now. The first season I thought was kind of a letdown. My favorite aspect of the show was the actress who played the head of the newspaper place that Kara works at.
Yeah.
Because out of all the actors, she seemed like she actually knew how to act, and she was probably the most entertaining thing about the show. And then she left second season, or like a bit into the second season, and she got replaced with a new guy. And rather than really try to develop these characters more, which I feel like that they haven't been developed enough, it just feels like it's just a monster of the week kind of thing. And we're just seeing kind of remnants and glimpses into like Superman villains and not actually going into anything about Supergirl. Like I couldn't tell you what I like about Kara. She's just so nice and goofy. And other than that, I mean, what else is there to tell? If you were to like ask me to say good things about something like Smallville and how stories were told in that, I could go on all day about it. But I'm just not getting that from a lot of these shows now. Everything's just we see so much from them in their alternate identity as a superhero, and less from like an actual human or a character. We just see them as superheroes. We don't see them really. We get that sometimes. Like sometimes we see Kara as brainy news respondent Kara, but I don't think it's enough. And I'm just not getting a lot from the series. And they're using too much. They're using too many fake sets. I'm tired of seeing people crash into cardboard and styrofoam because it's so blatantly obvious. So they need some more production values on that show.
When she holds the building up with those pipes, I mean, that was amazing.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I think it's just part of the CW effect. One thing you mentioned, it's just you said that they're just trying to like sell a bunch of action figures. I don't really know how much they're doing that, but it seems like every CW show is trying to create a huge ensemble cast of superheroes for each show. Arrow, you have like the 10 different heroes going on.
Not really
there.
Toys, but just marketing. Just
to
see what works. They're just throwing.
It's like, you don't like Oliver? Well, then you have Laurel. Oh, don't like Laurel? Then you have the IT guy from Palmer Tech,
Mr. Terrific.
My superpower. Like they're bringing in top-notch superheroes and villains, and we only see them briefly, and it's like, what's their importance? It's just the sake of having the characters exist. It's nothing's being told. And if you've ever like watched a lot of the old animated cartoons, there's like a lot more to them, like Justice League Unlimited, all the Batman cartoons.
All the animated DC is just so good, both the TV shows and the animated movies.
Like if people out nowadays actually knew how to pay attention to things, they could see a great difference between how characters are on the cartoons compared to on the TV shows.
I mean, like I was so excited for the Flashpoint storyline when they were teasing it before season 3, but it was a bastardization of the Flashpoint storyline.
I think the problem I have is that they resolve everything too quickly, and especially like the Supergirl stuff. Like it was a great winter finale, but they literally tied up every loose end I can think of.
Yeah.
We stopped this alien virus thing, and oh, by the way, like we cured this guy, and we turned John back to a green Martian, and she's arrested, and Cyborg's gone, and I'm like, is there anything left for next season? Like
everything wrapped up so nicely.
It's like everything with a nice little bow on top.
And Kara baked dinner.
Yeah.
Well, I spent too much time on the CWDC universe.
Oh, one last thing. One thing that bugged me the most, me and Alan, when freaking the real John Jones, whatever his real name is, when he just blurted out, "I'm Cyborg Superman." What was up with that? That was
one of the best things ever.
Okay, what led up to this?
It's just name dropping is all it is.
Yep.
It's like, wait, what about you as Superman? Like I don't get so confused.
I thought you were the old John Jones, but no, wait. It was, I don't know.
Yeah, that was funny.
Anyway, we should have you back and talk about Arrowverse again in another week or two.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot more to talk about.
One thing I want to touch on is, based on your recommendation, Nick, I caught up on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Unbreakable.
Talk about that for a moment.
I was just about to start singing it too.
Unbreakable. It does have one of the catchiest theme songs ever, aside from the DuckTales theme song. But I thought it was okay. I loved the premise, and I kind of loved it a lot at first. A lot of the episodes I saw at your house when I was there back at September, like I legitimately liked all of those. But I felt as the show went on, like Kimmy just got dumber, and not just like, oh, she's been in a bunker for 15 years. She doesn't kind of understand like our modern culture or our modern technology, but she was like really dumb just for dumb's sake. And I felt like it was just too much, I guess. It kind of just to the point where I thought like none of the characters were likable. Like the rich person she cares for was just really mean-spirited the whole time, and like the stick where like, oh, she's super rich, she doesn't understand, modern lower or middle class things, like driving a car. And then the whole like Native American thing was just like, what? And then Titus, like he's so mean, such a jerk and self-centered, and not in a funny way. I mean, I guess that's why like you say that like Roger's your favorite character on American Dad, right? Absolutely can't stand Roger on anything. Probably somewhere along the same lines, but I would give the show an okay. Obviously, comedy is subjective, and you could love it, and that's perfectly fine. But I don't know if I'll be watching season 3 when it comes out on Netflix.
No, you have to like everything we like, Ryan.
Do you like it, Trent?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I saw my ex Ben was really into it, and I caught some over the shoulder stuff, and it was funny-ish, but it didn't really pull me in.
It pulled me in most when it was focusing on the story, like especially at the end of season 1 when the trial is going on. Like that's when it really pulled me in. But those moments were few and far between.
I feel like we could talk an entire show about Netflix originals.
Oh yeah,
especially with like the Sense8 Christmas special coming up, and so many good shows. I'm excited.
I started Westworld this week. I know I'm a bit behind. The season just ended, but I'm just starting it. So
I need to start that too.
Do you have anything to say, Nick, on your questionable decisions about liking Kimmy Schmidt?
Oh, I like it. I recognize that there's some low points to it, but
I mean, he just unfriended you on Facebook, is all. But
No.
And I definitely know I'm in the minority when
It's-
it comes to my feelings on the show, but it's become a beloved show very fast. So
It came at a time where there wasn't a lot of good comedies for me. I like that ridiculous, just quirky humor that Tina Fey has. It's a lot similar to stuff like from Upright Citizens Brigade and just improv humor. I'm a big fan of, and that's what a lot of that is one as far as like TV goes. I'm watching a lot of the current sitcoms like Blackish, The Middle, Goldbergs. I really enjoy those shows. But yeah, I'm all about the comedy. Unbreakable season 2 kind of like the second half kind of fell short for me. It wasn't really going in the direction I wanted to, especially when they ended up at Universal Studios at the last episode. It felt really weird.
Maggie made a comment about that. She's like, "Oh, that's the reason why Nick loves this show is because it takes place at Universal."
Not really.
Studios.
I got kind of annoyed at the end because I feel like too many shows are copying out and doing a Universal or Disney episode. Because a lot of shows did that last season, and like either a family was going to Disney or like Universal gets incorporated in some way. But Unbreakable, I want to see season 3. I want to see if it gets a little bit better. I hope they notice the weaknesses from season 2. Because one of my biggest gripes about season 2 was Tina Fey came back as a different character, and I didn't like the character she was playing.
Oh, it's funny. I actually liked her psychiatrist character at the end of season 2.
I just hate that she recasted herself as a different character.
Yeah, that was.
It felt kind
That
of
threw me off at first. But I ended up liking her.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
You're good. I'm catching up on a lot of old shows at the moment. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go. It's something else.
That's okay. It's very not exciting, but I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls from the beginning because I want to watch the ending. And I never watched the end stuff when I was a kid or in high school.
You're so gay.
Thank you. But I saw the next season trailer for The 100 today, and I am stoked. I'm really, really, really excited.
I watched a little bit of that. It seemed okay.
It's amazing. It's the only show that I've ever seen, well, one of the only shows that puts their characters in impossible situations and then doesn't write out an easy escape for them. Like, people die just because, and it's amazing. And it's like, yep, this is legitimately like post-apocalyptic. The world does not care about you, and it's really refreshing and super fun.
You've ever heard of Battle Royale?
I've heard of it. Yes, it's the what everyone says that Hunger Games was ripped off of, right?
They I don't know. They're similar. I don't know how much is really ripped off or not, but it's kind of a Japanese take on it, or not Japanese take, but it's that story. Kids on an island and they have to kill each other, but it's a different perspective. It's
nice.
It's an interesting film. It's a little edgy, but I still enjoy it. The first one, at least.
Yeah, the 100's a little bit different, and like they're not like forced to kill each other.
No, they kind of came off of Spaceship, didn't they? I saw a few episodes of the first season, and I was digging it.
Yeah,
but
it's really good. If you have a chance to watch it, the 4th season starts in January. I heavily recommend it. So, what do you guys think?
Ryan, watching anything else other than Rick and Morty? Your favorite show ever?
Rick and Morty is the greatest show ever.
And Family Guy.
Family Guy's okay.
Caillou?
It gets a lot of hate, but it's fine, I guess. It's not bad. It's just fine at this moment.
And South Park. And
South Park is a national treasure.
Like the movie?
Yep.
Whatever the Simpsons are a national treasure.
Oh,
South Park's on the back of the Constitution or the Declaration.
I'd go steal it if that was true. Most of my shows are cable shows. I mean, no, I actually watch more network shows, but most of my favorite shows are more cable TV shows. But but no, like I said, I'm just trying to catch up on all the mid-season finale shows. And I probably next up on my list is Cage. Nick Cage.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage.
I watched the
National
first
Treasure.
episode and it
I had
scared
National
me.
Treasure on the mind, so
Yeah. It's a documentary about Nicolas Cage and his method acting.
Yep. So Luke Cage. I'm watching Westworld with the girlfriend, so you're watching that as well. I still haven't started Supernatural this season, so I have a whole like half season to watch on that. I know it's. I curse you, Trent, because you got me onto that show like 15 years ago, and it's not.
I told
dying.
you to jump ship at the end of season 5.
Sam. Dean.
I told you to jump ship at the end of season 5 when it was supposed to end.
It's a show where I want it to end so bad so I could be free of its misery, but it's also a show that's not bad enough to warrant.
You're keeping it on the air. Your ratings are.
I don't have a Nielsen box. I don't contribute anything. So there.
Yeah.
See, I also planned on watching Mr. Robot really soon. And then what was that Netflix show that came out? Stranger Things. That's on my short list to watch here soon.
I need to see that too. I think like 8 of my shows that I want to watch are all like Netflix originals that I haven't gotten to yet. There's so many. Like I want to see The Crown. I want to see Stranger Things. I want to see Orange is the New Black, which I've never seen any of. I'm behind a season on House of Cards. I have too many things I want to watch.
New season of House of Cards is really good, and Orange is the New Black is really good.
Yes. So coming up on about an hour and a half.
Well, let's go for another hour.
Woo! It's our Rogue One Power 3-hour podcast.
Second opinions.
I don't think our 3 listeners are ready for that much of a marathon yet.
Appreciate all 3 of our listeners out there.
We do.
We got Trent's sister. We have Travis. We got Lane.
Ross.
Oh, we got 4. Moving on up. Nick was one of our listeners, but now he's a podcaster. So does he count?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just an extra special guest, right? No, I'm just kidding.
So you have to go back and listen to this so you could be one of our listeners again.
Well, I downloaded it and listened to it too. So
you listened to the whole thing?
Well, I skipped around.
Oh, okay. I did while I was editing it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And listening to how terrible my mic problems were last week. I also want to mention that Trent heard the mic problems the whole time that I was recording, but didn't say anything.
I didn't want to. It kept fixing itself, and I kept hoping that it would stay fixed, and then it didn't.
Wasn't until I was finished and going back and editing a few other mistakes that we made that I was like, "Oh, I sound terrible."
Well, you sounded terrible. You sound like a robot.
Yeah.
It adds charm and character to the podcast. People can look back in years from now and with misty eyes and remember how horrible we were at the beginning.
When we're all famous and
that's right.
Have our own cons.
They can just pull up all the old GamerRants stuff if they want to.
We're going to be super famous. Not. But speaking of our listeners, we really do want to hear from you guys. Comment,
like, subscribe.
Yeah, comment on the website, YouTube channel, send us an email, briefnerdity@gmail.com, tweet at us, whatever. It's all on the website. Go to briefnerdity.com.
Well, I have it all right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it off to everybody. So our website is briefnerdity.com. Find us on there. You can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/briefnerdity. We have a Twitch channel. We haven't done anything with it yet, but if you want to go subscribe to us or favorite us, whatever, you can go to twitch.tv/briefnerdity. We have a subreddit. It has 1 whole post on it as of now. It's probably going to have 2 as soon as this podcast goes up. So you can find us on there. I run our Twitter account, which is twitter.com/briefnerdity. As well as you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/user/briefnerdity. So there we go.
Bam.
and also email us, like you said. We'll be happy to take emails. Email us or put comments in the video if you have questions for us. We'll be happy to talk about it in our next podcast. Like you said, we kind of just want to have a really kind of relaxed feel this podcast, and if you all want to contribute, you all are more than welcome to it.
Definitely.
All right, I think that wraps us up. Nick, thank you so much for guest starring on the podcast this week. We'll definitely have to have you on again. I know the Awesome Alan fans are clamoring for more Awesome Alan, so.
Okay.
You were always a favorite, anyways.
Everyone loves you.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening / watching a still picture image of our logo while listening on YouTube. So tune in next week. We'll be back at the same time. And be sure to check us out on social media and leave us a comment or an email. And there's a Windows notification for one of you.
Not me. All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.